Defense.
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 Defense. Defense. Defense. The stupider it looks, the better it is. Oh my god, we did it!
My dick is big, my dick is wide, my dick is huge.
That's right. Super Bowl, here we come.
So you're saying there's a chance?
We're ready to tear this baby up. Why? Good afternoon, football fans, and welcome back to the Trajan Temple Sportcast. I am your host, professional wrestler and Kansas City Chiefs fanatic, Christian Temple, joined alongside, as always, by my good friend, the terrible towel-twirling Trajan. So defense, that's a thing.
Defense.
Isn't defense wonderful? I mean, defense is just amazing, isn't it?
It wins championships.
Absolutely it does. You're damn right it does. And it wins games, close games. Games
There
that
you
were way too close for comfort. What a week. What a week of football across the board. I mean, good God, we had last-second Hail Marys. We had epic comebacks. We had offensive struggles. We had defensive, juggernauts come through. I mean, we had surprises, twists, and turns all across the way. Yeah, football's back, ladies and gentlemen.
It's back. It's definitely back.
We couldn't be happier that football's back too. But there are things that could be, I guess, better about certain teams. And honestly, the same can be said for both of us if we're just being perfectly honest here. Our offenses were terrible in the grand scheme of things in both of our games here. So I'll let you go first this week since I went first last week. I will go ahead and flip the script onto you here as the Pittsburgh Steelers actually got a victory over a division rival this week.
You don't have to act surprised. I mean, you just don't have to act surprised about it. It was blatant Temple, and I don't like it. Anyways, first off, I want to talk about Chubb. I hope the best for him. He did get injured, gruesome injury, and speedy recovery. But on to more gruesome business here, and Kenny Pickett was perfectly 50-50, 15 completions out of 30 attempts, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 222 yards throwing. But there was a shining light on a hilltop, and that was George Pickens. He had 4 receptions, 127 yards, most of that on a 71-yard touchdown play, where I spilt my beer all over me. So that was great. I forgot to mention that Temple and some other guys were watching at our local place, Side Pockets there. So
Yes.
it was that was good. Now, I would like to see the 10 targets equal more receptions, but hey, I'll take 127 yards.
There you go.
Outside of that, Jalen Warren picked up some yards. Allen Robinson had some yards, and Calvin Austin, but not that many because it was only 222 yards to go around. When someone takes up 127 of them, yeah, you can imagine. Gunnar Oslowski, I'm
Oh,
still
boy.
waiting for him to be dropped after fumbling it and catching a kickoff when it was clearly going to go out of bounds. Not catching, toe tapping 11-yard at the 11-yard line when it would have been at the 40. I mean, it's not like our offense is terrible or anything like that, and they don't need help wherever they can get. But this was a terrible game until you get to the defense. That defense, oh my gosh. It almost reminded me of like 2010 defense. It was brutal out there. Not quite that intense. But Highsmith, he definitely deserves everything we paid him for the extension. He complimented TJ Watt very well. Right off the bat, pick six for Alex Highsmith. I mean, you can't start out better. TJ Watt.
Literally the first thing that happened in that game too. It's crazy.
It is. And I mean, 7 seconds off the clock and you got a touchdown already from a pick six. It's pretty nice, especially against the Browns. Alex Highsmith forced a fumble, which TJ Watt returned for a touchdown. TJ Watt became the all-time sack leader for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
It took James Harrison 190 games. It took TJ Watt 81 games, I think it was. So, yeah, that's impressive. Just a whole effort. Minkah Fitzpatrick, he did go out with an injury on that Chubb play. Came back in, but he was favoring his chest. He actually went to the hospital, but it turns out he's okay. It was just a stinger of some sort.
Good.
But yeah, our defense put up more points than the offense. If our defense does not put up points in this game, we do not win this ball game. Now, here's a fun, interesting fact. The Chiefs and the Steelers share a same thing. In 2016, the Chiefs won the game, scored 27 points without being in the red zone. The Steelers also scored 26 points, 1 point less, without being in the red zone. We were not in the red zone once. Temple, how many yards do you think we got in the fourth quarter?
You know what? I'm trying to think. You brought up that stat about 2016. I'm trying to think about what game that was. I was about to say the Broncos, but that wasn't it.
Saints.
The Saints. My gosh, that's right. Oh, that was an interesting game. That was like Tyreek Hill's coming out party in that season, that game. That was amazing. You know what? I might know the answer to this one. Was it 1 yard?
It was -7.
-7. Okay.
-7.
I knew it was in the single digits. I just forgot which way.
15 minutes in the fourth quarter, and we got -7 points. I mean, that's -7 points. -7 yards. It might as well have been -7 points. It was a terrible offensive game, and we're very fortunate to come out of it. I mean, our defense was all over Deshaun Watson. There may have been a no call at the end of the game. I don't know what that was all about, but sometimes they fall your way, sometimes they don't.
Mm-hmm. Just ask
Denver. But yeah, just the best part of the game, besides the defense just totally dominating and us winning, is the crowd chanting "Fire Canada." That's all I got from this one.
They had a big bed sheet that said that too, and
big banner. Oh yeah.
I told you this earlier. You need to go bigger. You need to get an airplane with the long banner behind it, and that'll get some stuff done. Hey, because it worked for Kansas City back in 2012.
Yes, it did. I just don't know how much longer we can go like this. I mean,
as long as Tomlin allows it.
Pick it. I mean, to be fair, he deserves some of the blame. He missed some targets. Yes. But we have a young QB, and the offensive coordinator could scheme up some different opportunities. Put our offense in a better position to get yards, because it seemed like I always saw 3 and 8 on there and a punt.
Yeah, absolutely. God, that's the deal. I can't talk a whole lot about how your defense dragged your team kicking and screaming to a victory, because isn't really that much different than how the Chiefs defense played. But here's one of the things that's glaring about that, is that your defense is expected to do that. I don't think anyone expected the Chiefs defense to play as well as they did against a team with a high-powered offense like the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's the crazy thing for me. Yeah, big splash plays for your defense, the Steelers. I mean, it was pretty fun to watch, honestly, because every play you didn't know what you were going to get. It was either Deshaun Watson was going to run it himself, he was going to throw it way too far or way too short. Like, he did not look comfortable at all with
Way
TJ
out of
Watt,
bounds.
with TJ Watt chasing after him and Highsmith. I mean, yeah, those two were a wrecking crew just by themselves. And yeah, the loss of Nick Chubb that early, which I saw a picture from when he suffered the same type of injury in college when he played for Georgia, and I'm like, oh god, that looks like exactly the same. And it's like, it's crazy that it came back from that once. I mean, what are the odds that he comes back from that ever again? Which we know, we have our part of our answer. He definitely will not come back this year. And the Browns have already addressed that with the signing one-year deal of Kareem Hunt. So at least he's coming back to a system he's quite familiar with already. But yeah, that was absolutely gruesome. I completely understand why ABC didn't show the replay of that, because good God, the still frame of it is just absolutely sickening. But no, mega props to your defense for the performance that they had, because honestly, it came down to the wire and the offense did just enough, but not nearly enough to be, like, this is the playoff team you've been waiting for. There's still some work to do, and I'll say the same thing for my team. I'll say the exact same thing for my team, and I guess I'll start on that right now. So, as you can see here, the Kansas City Chiefs go down to Duval and defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kept them out of the end zone the entire game. Defeated them with a final score of 17-9. And Mahomes, on his 28th birthday, was, efficient enough. There was the one arm punt that set them back, where they could have maybe got some points there too. But 29 of 41, 305 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. One to Sky Moore, his first regular season touchdown. It's easy to forget. It's not his first touchdown, because he did have one in the Super Bowl. And it was definitely nice, even if it was on sort of a limited basis, having Travis Kelce back, with him getting a touchdown as well. But I don't understand why we decided to wait till the second half to really start running the ball. Because Pacheco had 12 carries for 70 yards, but here's the deal. I'm pretty sure only 2, maybe even 1 of those carries was in the first half. Like, yeah. They decided all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, we got Pacheco. Why aren't we using him? We've used Edwards-Helaire more and McKinnon more in the first half than we used him. That threw me for a loop. But when he did get on the field and when he did start making plays, yeah, I was happy to see him, because he kept the ball moving when we needed him to in the second half. So, yeah, that was very touch and go, because there were multiple times where the Jaguars were literally a toe tap away from getting in the end zone.
Yep.
It was very touch and go in there. Big mistake by Justin Reed. Pass interference in the end zone, setting up for 1st and goal on the 1-yard line, and once again, the Chiefs defense stepped up and held them to a 3-and-out, to a field goal. I mean, how many times do you see it? It's 1st and goal at the 1-yard line. Those historically don't end up as mere field goals at that point. Usually you're putting up 6, if we're perfectly honest here. So, yeah, this was a Herculean effort by the defense. And, I'd be remiss to say, I am so glad Chris Jones is back on the defense. Because, boy, he made an impact immediately. I mean, it wasn't even just him either. I mean, yep. George Karlaftis, Nick Bolton, our secondary stepped up in aspects too. I loved the quote from Trip McDuffie after the game too. He was not upset that the defense had to be stout in this, because he's straight up admitted there have been times, especially last season, where the offense had to bail the defense out for something. That wasn't uncommon last time, or last year, excuse me. But yeah, this was a game that I came into pretty nervous, because Jacksonville is a hungry team. and they were eager to prove themselves after falling to the Chiefs last year in the playoffs. And, my hat goes off to Doug Peterson. He's still got a great squad. And, Calvin Ridley, that was an off game for him. I mean, he showed up against the Colts the week before. Yeah. I think Ridley still got a lot left in him. And, one more weapon for Trevor Lawrence. Oh, boy, right? Because we mentioned it earlier in the season. I mean, the Colts, yeah, Anthony Richardson might be good, but it's still too early. C.J. Stroud, same thing. He might be, carted off the field by the end of the season because of that offensive line. And the Titans, kind of showed something against the Chargers, but if there's any team that knows how to trip on themselves, it's probably Tennessee. So this is truly still the Jaguars, even at 1-1, it's their division to lose. On the flip side, the Chiefs, this was I'm not saying the exact kind of win they needed, but this is from a defensive standpoint, a win that you can feel good about. You can feel good about how the defense played. The offense was serviceable. It wasn't as elite as it was, but that can be fixed over time. And considering the opponent they've got this week, this is a great opportunity for a true get-right game. So that's something to monitor this coming Sunday. So we're excited about that. So 1-1, both our teams back to 500. So gotta feel pretty good about that.
How sick do you think you'd have to be as a Jags fan to know you made all those trips to the red zone and all you got was field goals out of it and a turnover on downs?
And a turnover on downs too, yes.
It's just it's crazy. I will say though, your offense continues like this. There's some games on the schedule that the way that like Dallas is looking, 49ers are looking.
Thank God we didn't play them this year. Either.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's a long season, but definitely doesn't look like a Super Bowl team like last year.
Oh no, absolutely not. And here's the deal: there are a lot of other teams that are facing similar problems. I mean, good God, look at Week 1 for Buffalo. I mean, that was a misnomer, but they got their swagger back last week. They just needed someone to beat up on it. Luckily, it was the Raiders.
Did miss something though.
What's that?
Tony was 5 for 5.
Oh, that's right, son of a gun. He was 5 for 5, and we weren't yelling at him about drops this time. I was yelling at Richie James for muffing that punt. But no, I was pretty forgiving to Sky Moore the first time he muffed a punt too. It was the 4th or 5th time that it really started to piss me off. So we shall see if that trend continues here. But shout out to Sky Moore. Congrats on your first touchdown in the regular season. Hopefully that leads to many more. All right. Well, several other fun games to talk about here. Let's stay in the AFC West here. Let's go with the Denver Broncos and the Washington Commanders. And if you want to say this game had everything, it almost had everything on it.
Pretty much did. Oh gosh. I mean, I didn't see the play.
Where do you start? I mean, not even just the Hail Mary. Like, where do you start? Your offense is cooking. They always seem to have trouble getting past 16 points. They do so in the first quarter. Immediate, impact. It was 21-3, 18-point lead, and then, oh, boy. It did not...
back. I mean, you can't even blame Russell Wilson in this game. Maybe you can, but... you
gotta blame him a little. Probably blame him a little bit there.
You have that big of a lead. You have supposedly a very good defense, which sucked it up for me in fantasy, and I lost to Temple over there.
We didn't even talk about that. I beat Trajan in fantasy this week. Let's go.
But
thank you, Najee Harris, for all the points you didn't score.
On that note, we're just ending this.
Hey, you weren't the only one that suffered of that. I know a certain Temple senior that suffered from that too. So,
but yeah, no, that's just I mean, it's a heartbreaker. But there was many this week, But yeah.
Yeah. Packers fans looking at you.
Ooh, to the Falcons.
They out Falcons the Falcons. How do you do that? How does one out Falcon the Falcons?
Is the monkey off the Falcons' back at this point?
Yeah, you know what? In 2 weeks, we have our week 4 progress report, and I'm so excited for that. So it'll be interesting to see where they stand coming up on week 4. I'm excited to, like I said, I love when we do our tiers, our tier makers for the progress reports too, because there's always the one team that we have high hopes for and then just absolutely bottom out and they go to the trash bottle. So I am so ready to play around with that and see who we've got false hope for and then what happens below. Speaking of false hope, there was a lot of false hope for the Cardinals against the Giants too.
Oh gosh. Shut out the Giants the first half. 1.5 games of not scoring.
Whew.
And you let them come back and score 31 points on you?
Just how? Actually, how?
I mean,
the only
Danny
logical,
Dimes,
the only logical thing I could say is they are actively tanking. They are just actively just crapping the bed trying to get that first overall pick. I can't think of any other explanation.
I mean, it wasn't even Saquon carrying the load on this. I mean, he got some good stats, but
Yeah.
and an injury.
Ugh.
But yeah, I mean, 321 yards through the air for Daniel Jones, plus another 59 yards on the ground. I mean, 380 yards total. That's, I mean, he earned some of his money. He earned some of his money.
Mm-hmm. He should have earned half a paycheck because he played half the game. All right.
But-
well, and then you go on to the Dallas Cowboys, who right now I think is arguably one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league right now, and that's scary because their offense is
has a lot of potential.
It has a lot of potential. It does. So maybe this is the year for the Cowboys? Question mark.
You know what? Maybe we hype them up so much, so it is just jinx.
Yeah, they're going to lose to the 49ers in the playoffs again.
Or let's face it, it could be just wild card or divisional.
True.
Well, they'd probably be a top team, but oh my goodness.
Could you imagine, really quick, could you imagine NFC Championship game, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys? Or even the 49ers versus the Cowboys.
It'd be great. I think it would be good for football. Bad for everyone else, but good for football for the Cowboys to do good.
I thought our audio was messing up or something like that. It's like, wait, what is he doing? Oh, he's coughing. I see now.
Forced me. It's just Jerry Jones must have sold what's left of his soul for this season.
He lost his soul when he bought the Cowboys. Let's be honest here.
That's true.
There's nothing left. All right. Yeah, there were a lot of other good games. I mean, heck, the Seahawks take down the Lions in overtime in a thriller. The Ravens beat the Bengals. Bengals 0-2 yet again. The Ravens undefeated, even though the injury bug is still kind of nagging at them. I mean, Dobbins last week and now OBJ this week. The Rams are still surprising. I mean, they have lost to the 49ers, but if you would have came into week 2 and if I would have said the Rams would only lose by 7 to the 49ers, I mean,
it makes me depressed.
I wasn't even going to refer to that, but
to
yes,
be
you are
fair,
correct.
your divisional opponents are always your toughest game, no matter how good or bad they are.
100%. 100% every time. Absolutely. And Dolphins go into Foxborough and take care of business against the Patriots. That was a pretty good game, too. A lot of good games last week, but we've got some more fun matchups this coming week, starting with Thursday night. We've got the Giants and 49ers. Oh Lord. I
Could you imagine if the Giants upset the 49ers?
that would be that would blow every other upset we've seen so far out of the water easily.
10 and a
Easily.
half point favorites.
Yes. Yep. Oh
That's
man.
crazy.
Just about the same as the opponent for the Kansas City Chiefs this coming Sunday. That's right. Chiefs are coming back home and taking on the Chicago Bears. Chiefs showing as 12 and a half point favorites, but here's the deal. You know teams that have nothing to lose, they're in that mindset. It's like, oh man, everything we've done is just blown up in
People
our
are
face.
fighting for their jobs.
Starting left tackle out on injury reserve. The defensive coordinator just up and quit for them. So you always got to be wary of the wild card. There is no such thing as an easy win, but this would, as I mentioned, be a great get-right game for this Chiefs offense. If they can show up and just put on a show for the Arrowhead crowd, this would be the time to do so, especially when you've got Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets in Week 4. I can't say that. I can't say that. God, that was one of the games I was so hyped for, too. We finally get Mahomes versus Rodgers, and now we don't even get that, so... God, all right, but
Yeah.
what do you got next week? You got a primetime game again, don't you?
Got a primetime game. We're playing Sunday Night Football, and hopefully we're going to play football, not punt. But if there's ever a game to get right on, is this game. The only thing that scares me is the Raiders got beat up so bad last week by the Bills. I mean, the score difference, it was way worse. Josh Jacobs, for most of the game, was negative yards. The only thing that saved me with his fantasy points was he was catching balls. But, I mean, it's going to be at Raiders. So, they're 2.5 point favorites. Over under 43 points. So, be interesting. But the game of the week I want to highlight, and I was talking about this before, but it's just so interesting to me because who is going to out-choke themselves in this game?
I think I know where you're going here.
Chargers or the Vikings?
Yep.
Chargers are going to the Vikings. It is a noon game. I hope that is, well, I mean, I got Sunday ticket. I'll watch it no matter what. Over-under on this game is 54. Which I think is the highest. I mean, it's crazy. The Chargers are the only team to score 50 points in their first two games and no turnovers and still be 0-2. I mean, Justin Herbert is doing everything he possibly can. I mean, they did get the ball in overtime. They had to punt it away last week, but they're doing everything they possibly can. And then you go over to the other side, you got Kirk Cousins doing everything he possibly can, but they can't stop anyone. Neither team can stop anyone. So it's very interesting. I know Brandon Staley's probably on the hot seat this year.
That seat's getting warm. Really warm.
It's very warm, and I just don't see the Chargers taking this one. I'm going Vikings on this game. Here's this. They're favored. They're even.
I was just about to say, even Vegas doesn't even know who is going to choke worse, so they just said, screw it, we'll make it even and just let them decide.
I mean, the only thing greater than the Vikings winning, and I'm being right, is just they tie. No one can get it done. They just piss away the whole overtime, and they tie it.
No, you said it. There's been 2 weeks in a row where Justin Herbert had the golden opportunity to show how clutch he was, and he blew it against the Dolphins, and he kind of blew it twice against the Titans, truthfully. So It's boy, and same thing, Kirk Cousins. I mean, the weapons he has around him, you would think they would just straight up outscore everyone and have no problem doing so, but that defense is just dragging them down with them. It's oh man, I mean, you're right. I mean, who do you bet on? Do you bet on how good they do, or do you bet on how bad they do? I mean, that's just up in the air. So, but yeah,
I think you just bet on the over. I bet they're going to score over 54 points. That's 27 points each. They can do that. They could go over that.
They very well could. So, but
34-34 tie.
There you go. I would love to see that happen. Actually, that would be hilarious. All right, but that is our show for this week. So leave your predictions down in the comments below. Who's gonna outchoke the other? Is it gonna be the Chargers or the Vikings? We'd love to hear from you guys out there. Who do you think is gonna do worse? It would be hilarious to see who believes and who less. So, but on that note, thank you everybody so much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all of your friends, and we will see you next week for week 3. Have a good day, guys.